My friends, Bruno Henrique is reaching 350 games for Flamengo. Bruno Henrique will reach 350 games for Flamengo. There are 89 games with 15 braces and 3 hat tricks goals in 89 goals in 89 games with 15 braces or scoring 2 goals and 3 hat tricks. The opponent he faced the most was Fluminense, 25 games. He has 188 games in the Brasileirão, 58 goals and 20 assists. 183 games at Maracanã, 62 goals and 28 assists. So Bruno Henrique, these are his numbers, reaching 350 games for Flamengo. And God willing, he'll get back into good form to help our Mengão in 2026. He's already made it clear that it's not his preferred position to play up front. I think Bruno Henrique performs much better on the left and all that, man. He's already made it clear it's not his preferred position to play as a striker. But he scores goals, especially when playing on the left. That's the position where he scores the most goals. He comes from the left, and that's where he really shines, where he can contribute much better. Honestly, I've seen a lot of criticism towards Pedro and Bruno Henrique, but people aren't really analyzing the positioning of these players or whether the player is coming back from an injury. In Pedro's case, in Bruno Henrique's case, I think it's much more about positioning. I think the player obviously isn't performing as well as we expect. But what if he plays, if he's an option to come in? Even if it's in the second half, in the position he's used to, he only comes in during the second half, but in the position he's used to, maybe that's the best solution for him. Regarding Pedro, man, I saw Mauro Cesar talking, and I really agree with what Mauro Cesar said about the criticism they're making of Pedro. As if he were nobody, as if they weren't counting the days to see if he'd have enough time. Played the Libertadores final really well. Mauro Cesar talked about this very well. Everyone wanted to see Pedro in the Libertadores final. They were like, oh, Pedro with a fractured arm. Will he have enough time or not? Then Pedro comes back, already gets injured again. And will he have enough time or not? It's a muscle issue. Can he make it? Will he recover? Everyone wanted Pedro in the Libertadores final. It's not that he's useless or bad. It's just that everyone knows his ability. Now, people talk about Pedro like he's a traffic cone or a terrible player. Negotiable, disposable. We can't understand what's going on, what people really want. Paqueta, in the 2 games he played after returning to Flamengo. They're already saying the guy isn't good enough, Felipe Luis, after winning everything in 2025. They're saying the guy isn't good enough. They're already calling for his head. Guys, let's calm down. I don't understand what's going on. What's with all this anxiety? You need to take some medicine. It's not possible. You need to get better. You need to get better. Pedro can be better. He can be better. The ball isn't getting to him either. The ball isn't reaching Pedro. Everyone here knows Pedro's quality. For God's sake, let's not create a problem. The ball is just starting to get to him. He'll start scoring again. He'll get back to his best form. Felipe has clearly stated he wants a more mobile, high-pressure option than Pedro, giving him 2 attacking choices. But that doesn't rule it out, man. People are dismissing Pedro as if he were a nobody, like Mauro Cesar said. That's unacceptable. That's inadmissible. Where are we going to end up? What is this craziness? Paparazzo Rubro Negro, please. I'm really impressed, man. It's like the guy never played soccer for Flamengo, like he never proved he's a top-level player. Look at this. According to Globo Esporte, the Confederação Brasileira de Futebol plans to discuss reducing the number of relegated teams from 4 to 3 in the Brazilian Championship. The request came from some clubs in the Brasileirão. The organization also intends to discuss the use of synthetic turf and the limit on foreign players. At the moment, each team can list 9 players from outside Brazil for a match. This could really affect Flamengo, which has many foreign players. Relegation would be reduced to 3 teams, and the number of teams promoted from Serie B would also be 3. They're already making changes. As we mentioned here in this video, and also before on our social media, now there will be playoffs. The top 2 teams in Serie B will be promoted directly, and then there will be playoffs for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th places. They play playoffs for 2 more promotion spots. If approved, there could be a playoff for 1 promotion spot with 3 teams promoted and 3 relegated. And they're also going to discuss ending synthetic turf or switching to at most a hybrid turf. All of that is possible, man. We could have a complete change in the Brasileirão, in Brazilian football. And the issue of being able to list 9 foreign players could also be reduced, going back to 7. All of this is possible. All these changes can happen. It's still being decided. Look, we have some information here to wrap up our video. Flamengo is still looking for a more mobile striker in the decisive stage of the transfer window. Globo Esporte reports a preference for a loan with a buy option or obligation. Recently, Flamengo has stepped up its search for a striker. We even mentioned that Flamengo has made offers and everything. They approached Evanilson from Burnham Mouth and offered 30 million euros, but those guys don't want it. They want more. So, Felipe Luiz's coaching staff is looking for a more mobile forward, someone capable of attacking depth, exploiting spaces with speed, making diagonal runs, and pressing the opponent's ball out. We've already discussed this. The possible signing is viewed as a market opportunity, not an immediate priority. They're seeking this opportunity. The main challenge is the deal's cost and the player's fit with the playing style. The board's preference is for a loan deal, as I mentioned, with the player already ready for the role and with an option or obligation to buy at the end of the contract. So Flamengo is looking for this opportunity, and it's worth mentioning that a player who scores goals, a player who scores a lot, is always in demand, always has a mixed market. I don't know who's going to play, so nobody really knows who's going to be on the field. But what we do know is that he's going to prioritize those who are physically fit, right? Showing that really he came to the conclusion that the problem is much more physical than anything else, although I believe there's also a need for some chemistry, right? The team is strong tactically. Flamengo can't create or advance the ball. I've been talking to some people and they told me that this is really affecting the players. The players are bothered. They're not even able to enjoy their personal lives a little because they're upset with this phase. That's important because on one hand, the fans might, even we comment on it, might think that the guys seem like they're not motivated. The team won't be the same in 2025, but this is bothering them. The route must have the same information. The players are really bothered by the situation, this streak of losses, and actually 4 games without a win, and they want to put an end to it. Anyway, Flamengo hopes that this turnaround comes as soon as possible, that the players can turn this around. That's it. Yesterday, I watched Raiza's live stream where she discussed the Samuel Lino situation. We also talked about him here on Placar. Emerson Royal suddenly played in a different position, either starting or coming on during the match. Whoever is really doing well should avoid certain situations, even though a lot of money was spent on Royal, Emerson, and Samuel Lino. I think you can avoid certain situations to make that work. Another important point for us to mention is that Flamengo is still monitoring the market for an opportunity to sign a forward in this window, even though Flamengo has decided not to spend a large amount on signings at this time. In fact, what this source close to the board told me is that the proposal that came up, which many people even think might be a smokescreen because of the bad moment. Not sure if Raiza agrees, but take the Evan Nilsson issue, for example. It's much more to draw attention to this news and make people forget about the rest, because a lot of people think it's hard, right, Raiza, to get the player out of there. They paid 37 million euros total, 30 plus 7 if I'm correct. Unless you know differently, I think that's accurate. So, since they spent a lot on signing Evan Nilsson, it wouldn't be easy to get him out of there. So, what this source told me is the following. We really were interested in him. We made an offer, but this offer wasn't for now. It was something already looking toward the middle of the year. They'll only let him go after the European season ends, if at all, since they signed Rayan. So, what this person told me is that Flamengo is looking for this opportunity to sign a striker right now, but that they'll only spend real money in the middle of the year. Honestly, this same person, when I asked this question, Reza, do you really believe you could get Evan Nilsson from Bournemouth for 30 million euros? And this person said no. It doesn't hurt to ask or make an offer, even just to find out what they want. I asked, how much do you think they'd want? 50, 60. The answer I got was 50, 60 million euros, especially because they're not used to making deals to earn little or to take a loss. So I think it's difficult. It's difficult. I don't know if there's a player available on the market to come. Even Marco Leonardo has been told to stay until the season ends, which is mid-year here. Flamengo is still searching for that name, and I'm not sure they'll find it. It's very tough. Raiza explained this well yesterday on her live and on Placar. Goal scorers are expensive, right, Raiza?
Goal scorers are expensive. But Flamengo isn't exactly looking for a player who scores goals. Flamengo is looking for a forward with very specific characteristics, right? What does Flamengo want? It's not even mentioned. When you ask what characteristic they want in a forward, the first thing they mention isn't even goals. It's attacking depth, the ability to put a lot of pressure on the opponent's ball out, and mobility. The big question is this: a squad? It won't be made up entirely of players who cost 50 million euros, 20 million euros, 30 million euros. A whole squad or team, especially a Brazilian one like Flamengo or Palmeiras, it won't be made up only of millionaire players. It will be made up of players from the youth academy. Where is Flamengo's youth academy? If Flamengo's youth academy doesn't have a usable striker, there's a problem with the academy. What's going on with Flamengo's youth academy? If they can't offer any options?
The last really good one was Muniz, right?
It was Muniz. I think Alassian is good too. Alassian, I think he's good. He's being negotiated with Red Bull Bragantino. But the thing with Alassian involves other situations. Everyone understands that the best thing for Alassian right now is to leave Rio de Janeiro. But that's also part of the club's job. The club's job is also to develop the athlete and the person after all. So, a squad isn't just made up of those players worth 15, 20, 30 million euros. And then there's a lot of talk about scouting. The narrative has changed at Flamengo. Now the narrative is that at the financial level Flamengo is at, scouting is irrelevant. At this moment, I 100% disagree. I think that Flamengo, precisely because they're at the financial level they're at, can, more than other teams, take chances, even make some mistakes with those chances. They brought in Juninho. It wasn't a good bet, that's true, but he also didn't have many opportunities. He didn't get a run of games. We couldn't really see him in the matches he played. He even helped Flamengo. Every time he was on the field, he managed to help Flamengo. But still, Flamengo needs a striker, and in my opinion, it's not just a striker with these characteristics. Flamengo needs a striker as well. Bruno Henrique, not me, is competing with Pedro for the position. And Bruno Henrique has even said that he doesn't want to play as a number 9. He doesn't like playing as a number 9. He doesn't feel comfortable playing as a number 9. He has already said this publicly, and there is Bruno Henrique again playing as a number 9. Gabigol left Flamengo at the end of 2024. 2025 went by. We're in the third transfer window since Gabriel left, and Flamengo hasn't managed to bring in at least one forward to compete with or challenge Pedro for his position. Oh, do you want a specific player? I understand you want a specific player, but you can't just be stuck waiting for that particular player, period. Since you need to have options up front because your forwards, your number 9s besides Pedro are Bruno Henrique and Gonzalo Plato.
Well, guys, put the roundup on the screen, Papa, so we can see it, because there's this game. Tomorrow's game is crucial, unlike Flamengo's. Paparazzo Rubro Negro, Vasco's match is the most important of the year so far. Go ahead, Raiza.
Before we discuss the game, I want to quickly share some information about Alan. Vasco is also interested in this. Alan isn't in Flamengo's plans. Flamengo has already made this very clear to his staff, and his staff is looking to relocate him somewhere else. They tried at São Paulo, but Flamengo is demanding financial compensation, and São Paulo didn't have the money for that financial compensation. Corinthians also reached out to Alan after what happened with Alisson, and they intensified their search. Corinthians tried to sign Alisson on loan, but they didn't have $1 million to pay. Flamengo asked for financial compensation. So what now? Corinthians also hasn't moved forward, at least for now, with any proposal. Alan's staff talked to Vasco, okay? The information I have is that this came more from Alan's staff. It wasn't something that came from Vasco's management. They understand that Fernando Diniz knows Alan well, likes Alan, and in fact, it's the same staff. Alan's staff and Fernando Diniz's staff are the same staff, okay? And I think it's the same as Brenner's.
I'm not mistaken either, am I?
It's the same as Brenner's, so there was a conversation there. The information I have is that Fernando Diniz was asked if he would like to have Alan, and Diniz said that he would, that he likes the player. But hold on, calm down, guys.
I just remembered Chavez on both sides of the little table.
No.
Chavez on both sides. Go ahead, Raisa.
Vasco doesn't intend to move forward because of the financial conditions. Covering Alan's salary, which is considered very high for Vasco right now, and Flamengo, which wants financial compensation to release Alan on loan. That's also something Vasco doesn't plan to pay.
The same staff manages Brenner and Diniz, right? Alan's staff is the same and Diniz wanted him, but Vasco won't do it.
Okay, there's new information.
So go ahead, Paparazzo Rubro Negro.
There's new information. São Paulo is once again showing interest as a possible destination for Alan. Come on, my coach, Flamengo should make an offer, so there's a negotiation going on, okay? And Flamengo should propose a purchase priority for Marcos Antonio in the middle of the year in case São Paulo decides to negotiate the player. Flamengo would have priority to buy Marcos Antonio for the same amount offered, such as 12 million euros if an offer comes in mid-year. If a foreign club makes an offer, Flamengo can pay 12 million to get Marcos Antonio. Flamengo wants this priority from São Paulo and in return will loan him with a purchase option. Or will they define exactly what they're? Alan to São Paulo. So at this moment, Flamengo prefers to negotiate Alan with São Paulo, having a future purchase priority for Marcos Antonio. Okay? This is important for us to share.
Put it on the screen. Put the round on the screen, guys. Put the round on the screen. Botafogo also plays. Botafogo's game is on Sunday, 6 in the evening at São Januário. Botafogo is already qualified, so Botafogo will play with the reserve team.
Maybe even mixing the under-20s with the reserves. Oh, okay. Botafogo is going to focus a lot on the third round of the Brazilian Championship against Fluminense on Thursday the 12th. Next week, Nacional Potosí awaits in Potosí for the Pre-Libertadores. So this match against Vasco is crucial for Vasco, while Botafogo should focus on preservation. Marcel already got injured in the game against Fluminense.
But he might lose first place.
No, but I don't think Botafogo is concerned about that right now.
Okay, but that's fine. But anyone who wants to pay attention to the Carioca Championship can't be indifferent. Finishing first or second matters. Botafogo could face Flamengo, for example. If they're second, they could face Flamengo in third or vice versa.
That could change, but the Brazilian Championship and Libertadores are top priorities, especially for a club unable to sign new players.
I don't think winning the Carioca Championship is insignificant for Botafogo right now.
No, it's because the Libertadores is coming up soon.
It's about to happen.
It's a lost cause, even with the starters, right? Really?
What was the score of the last game? I forgot.
São Januário. Let's agree that at São Januário, when it matters.
I remember a great 4-0 at Januário.
The last round didn't matter at all.
But the 3-0 against Botafogo last year was also beautiful. But look here.
Oh, the good sense of the federation. At least the television must have been involved in this too, putting all 4 games with collective interests, right? At the same time, at the same hour. Tomorrow is going to be fun. This part of the round is Portuguesa versus Nova Iguaçu, Bangu versus Boa Vista, Flamengo versus Sampaio Correia, Volta Redonda versus Madureira, the treasure map for Flamengo. Qualifying is pretty simple, actually. Just win their game against Sampaio Correia, and one of the other 3 results has to go their way. For them,
Winning by 2 or 3 goals is best, with 3 being ideal.
at least 2 goals, that's it. But if they beat Sampaio Correia and Boa Vista loses to Bangu, Flamengo does get in. If Flamengo wins and Madureira loses to Volta Redonda, Flamengo advances. But Madureira's goal difference matters. Flamengo needs to make up 2 goals there. But Flamengo won't just beat Sampaio Correia 1-0 at Maracanã. Sorry, man. I'm ignoring the goal difference because this game won't end 1-0. Maybe it'll be 1-1. Check the standings.
Sampaio Correa must avoid the relegation round and needs a favorable result.
Sampaio Correa is going all in. From Carrascal, Samuel Lino Arrasca.
Flamengo is going with the starting lineup. Flamengo is going with the starting lineup.
With the starting lineup, Paparazzo Rubro Negro.
No, I was discussing this here with Rayla.
Players who are,
Being physically well doesn't mean you'll be a starter.
for me, it's actually going to be an even better team, okay? It's going to be an even more competitive team.
What should the team be? Not Riza.
I was talking to Rayla about this. Being in good shape doesn't guarantee players will start.
For me, it's actually going to be an even better team, okay? It's going to be an even more competitive team.
What should the team be, Riza?
I think Flamengo will probably go with Rossi. They should with Varela in defense. He might get a chance. Vitão, I think there's a good chance Vitão will be on the field with Leo Ortiz. Ayrton Lucas should be used. After all this streak from Alexandro, Everton Araujo should play there in the midfield.
It could be that
Jorginho comes back. Even to get back in shape, he needs to get back in shape. He played very little. And then you should have a team up front with... I don't think Arrascaeta should start, but Carrascal should start. And then there, I think Paquetá will play too because he needs to get back in shape. He needs to build chemistry with...
he might come in with Paquetá instead of Jorginho. That's the core there.
Yeah, maybe not. That's not what he's been saying he prefers, right? Yeah, he could have done that against Interna.
He could also come in with Everton, Araujo, Paquetá, and Carrascal, for example.
It could be, but I think that's it. The team in attack should be Pedro. I think he's going with a team that's going to be very competitive. Against Sampaio Correa, there won't be much to do. It's not a strong team. It's a team that can definitely be beaten by a big margin. Sampaio Correa
puts the standings back up. Look, guys, it's actually pretty easy to understand the standings for Group B. Where is it? Flamengo. Flamengo has to win to get to 7. Look there. If Flamengo wins, they go to 7. And then Madureira, who's in second place, can't score any points. Madureira plays Volta Redonda, Boa Vista faces Bangu, and Moça Bonita can't score. So it's Madureira and Boa Vista. For Flamengo, they must lose, and Nova Iguaçu can only draw. Then Nova Iguaçu would have 6 points, while Flamengo would stay ahead with 7. Nova Iguaçu faces Portuguesa at Ilha do Governador. If one of these results happens along with a Flamengo win, Flamengo will qualify. Unless they win only 1-0, then it goes to goal difference, right? If they win only 1-0, it goes to goal difference. But honestly, I'm considering that Flamengo will win the game comfortably, like 3-0 or something. Of course, that's their job, and you can count on one of those results I mentioned. If one of those 3 works out, along with a 3-0 win, for example, or 2-0 in some cases, they'll qualify. Now there's that detail. If there's a huge upset at Maracanã and Sampaio Correa beats Flamengo, he not only sends Flamengo to the relegation round, but could also send Vasco, because then Vasco would need to beat Botafogo. Not even a draw would be enough. It's over if there's a monstrous and historic upset by Sampaio. A draw might be enough if Bangu loses, because then Bangu has 3 wins, right? You have to see what comes first, which is winning. Forget it. No, Vasco has to win the game. Hello, no, Flamengo isn't going, but I'm saying Vasco and Flamengo might go to the relegation round. Sampaio beats Flamengo and Vasco fails to defeat Botafogo at São Januário. And up there at the top of the table in Group A, if it's a draw, Flamengo could go to the relegation round without Vasco. And in Group A there, Fluminense just needs a simple win at the end of the round Sunday night at Maracanã, a simple win, to become the champion of the Taça Guanabara. Volta Redonda can be the champion if they win their game, that is against Madureira.
When Flamengo and Sampaio play and give it their all until the end, right?
How is it?
They tie the game, Flamengo and Sampaio running in the last minute, giving it their all.
Hey, go with your heart, Papo. Go with your heart, Papo. Do it for us, Papo. They wouldn't coordinate, but we do here. If things go south, Papo, tell the guys there.
Please follow, like, and share on all platforms. On YouTube, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like the video. Greetings, Jubileros. This is Flamengo.